Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Today's project is linking mySql to Access. So what we're using is WAM server. So that is one of the list of tools you'll be needing for this project. So as you can see, I have downloaded WAM server version 2.2, and what you're going to be needing is mySql connector, ODBC. This is the link that we need to have the link between Microsoft Access 2007 and mySql server. So after you have downloaded and installed WAM server and also installed mySql connector ODBC, we can get started. First thing we're going to do is put WAM server online. So mine is online. We're going to start all services and we're going to go to PHP myadmin. While it loads, PHP myadmin is your MySQL server. This is where your database will normally stored. So as you can see, I've populated on the left a few of the databases that I have been using. What we're going to do is create a new database, but before we create one, I will show you how to create it, because I think I already have some created. So I'll be using Dream Resort TT. But to create one, all you need to do is go to databases and you add a name, type in whatever name you like, you click create, and it should be populated at the bottom as well as databases that created, and also on the left. After which we need to create a table. Creating a table is just as easy. You name the table and you specify the number of columns you would need. So as for me, I've named my table customer info for my Dream Resort TT database. What I've done is that I've named 5 columns. My columns would be customer ID, customer first name, last name, customer contact, and total cost. There are a lot more columns that could be needed, but I've chosen to use these 5 columns today. So what you can do is name your table and specify your columns. As you can see, mine are customer ID, customer first name, last name, contact, and total cost. In specifying these columns, I've chosen to use customer ID as text, last name and first name also as text, and contact as text as well. Total cost is just one I've used decimal because that's a value that we need to calculate. With total cost, that will be the money transaction, so it will have a decimal value for the dollars and cents. Customer ID, I've chosen to use text because you only use integers if you want to calculate stuff, integers and decimals to calculate. You don't need to calculate a customer ID. So what we also need is a primary key. So we need to elect a primary key. What I've done as well is I've elected my customer ID as my primary key. So what I'll do is check the box and I'll go to create an index. So as you can see, create an index on 1 column. We press go. It would select the index type, which will be primary. You would select the index column. The column will be customer ID. The size will be the same size of the column that you've created. In this case, I've created my customer ID to be size 10. So my size will be 10. And then I would save. But I've already created a primary key, so I don't need to specify a primary key anymore. So as you can see, mine should say primary customer ID 10. So we're ready to use it. After you've installed mySql ODBC connector, we've been using that to connect access to this database. As of now, this database is empty. All it has is the field names, the column names, but we need to store information in it. to retrieve it from our MySQL server or MySQL database. So what we need to do, we need to go into our control panel to use this link. We look for admin tools, we go to data sources. You need to be administrator for this, and we're going to create a new link that will facilitate between MySQL and Microsoft Access. So add, we search through this list for MySQL ODBC driver 5.1. If you have installed MySQL ODBC connector, it will be in this list in here. If you haven't installed it, you should do that now. I'm going to select MySQL ODBC 5.1 driver, click finish. I'll ask me for data source name, so I'm going to name my source. The name of my source here will be MySQL connection. The description is to connect MySQL to Access 2007. The TCP/IP server is the server name or server address. So what we're going to need to do is go back into our localhost. We're going to go back to our home, select the database, and go into privileges. In privileges, it will give us the address of the server, which is 127.0.0.1. We're going to realize that root is the username. We haven't enabled any password, but if you have, you should use that password when we're inserting the information here. So we're going to use it 127.0.0.1. Port ID is remain default. We're not using a name pipe, we're using TCP/IP server. So your username, your password if you have any, and when you pull the drop down arrow, you should see your database coming up. If you haven't inserted the correct information, then it would not come up except for MySQL tests and information schema. So I'm going to select dreamresort.tt. I'm going to test this connection and make sure it works. Connection is successful, and I'm going to press OK. So let's check and see if we have this connection available. Alright, MySQL connection. So press OK, and now we're going to use this connection. We're going to Microsoft Access. We're going to create a new database. So we can name this database Dream Resort Dream Resort 1, in case we need to differentiate between other Dream Resort programs or applications I've created. So we're going to press create. This should open a blank database, but we don't need any tables because we could be accessing the tables from the MySQL server. So we go into Access, go to External Data, we look for More under the Import tab, and we look for ODBC database. We go to Link Data, link to the data source by creating a link table, press OK, and it will give us these list of options. But what we need is machine data source. So we select it, we look to find MySQL connection, the one we have created to connect MySQL to Access 7. We click OK. We're going to look for the table inside of tables inside of our database and select them. Press OK. And there you have, here's your table here. This is a connection between your MySQL server database and Access. You click on it, you'll realize that you have the same field names or column names. What we can do is enter some information to confirm that this connection is working. So I'm going to insert information like customer ID 301 I'll name my first customer, first name, Andrew, Blanche, contact, 1 to 7, total cost, 1700. I'll name my second customer, 302, Speedy, 2832. I'm going to name him his contact information, 731, charge him 2100. Let's see if this information is going in. So we're going to go to our customer info table, and there we have Andrew, Blanche and Speedy, 2832. To ensure that this connection is working and this is not just information that was previously there, I'm going to enter one more piece of information. So it'll be 303. I'm going to alright, let's try that again. Can't spell these days. Information 1600. I'll press enter, and there you have this information. Should be there when we refresh it. So there you have the link. What you can do when you enter information to make it more user friendly for the non-computer savvy personnel is that you can create a field form. This form would be able to allow the user to insert information a lot easier, because the larger your database, the more difficult it is to enter information, especially if you have a couple tables. So what you're going to use is a form. So what I'm going to do is create a form and show you how the end product should look. Okay, so here's our form where we can access our information. So as you can see, Dream Resort TT customer form. You have customer ID, name, last name, contact and cost. What I can do is go to the different records and pull this information. Let's see our information. So I can go to the various records, pull the information, or I could add new records to our database. I could add a new customer ID, 305, name, let's name Michael Johnson, contact number, and costs. I'll press enter, and I should be able to pull up his information in my customer table. Okay, let's try that again. So, Michael Johnson. Thank you for watching.